Good evening. How are you? Well, it's beautiful out. Thomas Jefferson would say he's very pleased that we have 80 degrees. And we expected it was going to be 90 or higher, and it wasn't. Nevertheless, I went swimming earlier today indoors, just in case. The, um, the issues today, I think, are of the template that we need to apply to the chaos in our political governance and in our public dialogue. The Democrats are stuck in old dialogues, certain as if it was the law of gravity, that if they stay the course and talk about certain things and take no risks, they will prevail. But that's not a playbook for this election. And I invite you to consider what one wannabe dictator understood in his 20s. And it was that the bourgeois, the middle class, were not morally nor mentally equal to certain attacks. So unleashing a veritable barrage of lies and slanders against whatever adversary seems most dangerous until the nerves of the attacked person break down. Now, you know who that young person was. That was Hitler. And he wrote these things in Mein Kampf. And I have quoted what he said in Mein Kampf exactly as to how to wage, if you will, a campaign, a revolution. And this first method that Mr. Hitler found, and he was distilling the political efforts at the time that were divided in a very, seemingly complicated way after World War I and the Versailles Treaty, which seemed to be very harsh among the public, and the tensions between the geographies of government in different places. So he wrote these things in Mein Kampf, and he would combine this first attack that I've described with physical terror. And the reason for that is so that the defeated adversary despairs of the success of any further resistance. How many people have you heard say, I can't listen to this, I won't talk to this, I won't be involved in this? But we who are responsible can't leave that alone, because our stake in our nation and our freedom is greater than the annoyance of listening to these attacks, which are baseless and lies, and to the terrors and coercion that are sought and threatened on the people, whether it be in the judiciary, whether it be in the political atmosphere, whether it be before judges and courts, whether it be Congress. So if you don't have Mein Kampf and you don't want your neighbors to see you carrying it around, get Shire, S-H-I-R-E-R. Read some of that for yourself, and you'll see what I'm saying is true. And if you do this, you'll see that instead of learning about Hitler, we're learning about Trump, because this is Trump's playbook. That's what he does. Now, how is he changing the game of how we campaign? Congress doesn't work. Congress is on its knees right now, trying to get the Supreme Court to have an ethical responsibility for what has been shown to be unethical, irresponsible, and to create distrust among the people for the courts. We can't have that. Biden is a true believer in the system as it exists. And that's well and good. But how you defend it, you can't do it in the old ways. You have to do it in the here and now. You have to confront the statements that are made as they're made. You have to come up with better arguments. You have to realize that there are fountains of lies and slanders and misrepresentations. And if you want proof of it, look at the polling. How do the polls believe that Biden is responsible for stealing the election, for going after Trump in court with magical prosecutions that he pulls out of the Justice Department, though the conviction is a state prosecution? Now, another thing that Hitler believed was that he believed in the word, the spoken word, the magic of the spoken word. He supported, and it's obvious if you've ever seen any films of him, a volcanic eruption of human passions. Now, the response, the reason that we can't fight back is because our response is like Hitler's characterization of his enemies, namely that they were lemonade-like outpourings of the literary aesthetes, drawing room heroes. That's what we have now. We have people beating their chest, giggling at what Trump does, ignoring the effect that he's having. You can't win the argument you don't make. I've said it 1,000 times. But you can't win the fight if you don't defend and attack yourself, if you don't counterpunch. And we're not doing that. We're the party, supposedly, I'm talking Democrats, we're the party, supposedly, that cares the most about education, enlightening the human spirit, fighting for freedom and what we believe in is right and true. And we just slip the punches. We say nothing in offense. We don't invoke the tools we have. And that is our tragedy. We still have time. We still have runway, but we have to use it. Now, I took a look at the newspapers today. I always do. But today, I wanted to focus on what the headlines say. Now, the Washington Times is a newspaper that favors the right and the Republicans and business and so forth. The Times and the Post have got, well, not simple identities, but when it comes to journalism, they try to call it balls and strikes, as we heard some members of the Supreme Court say when they were being confirmed to go on the court, and they've proven themselves to be something else than what they promised. So, what am I suggesting you look at? Look at the cover of the New York Times and the Post on the Hunter Biden case. And what you'll find, whatever newspaper you have, depending upon whether or not it is politically engaged, meaning it's using its reporting function to actually inform you how you should think about the presidential election. Now, the Post and the Washington Post and the New York Times, they looked at the Hunter Biden conviction as focused on Hunter Biden. It was not about President Biden. It was not about his family. It was a straight report of the facts of the case. Now, the Washington Times, what's the question? The Washington Times says, oh, how is this going to affect the president's re-election campaign? And then they tell us what to believe. This is exactly what a dictator would want to happen. The organs of the propaganda apparatchik is to mislead and deceive us, particularly in the battleground states. And if we continue to be the aesthetes in the drawing room of heroes, talking to those in an echo chamber of beliefs we all share, and not out there on the hustings, not there in print, not talking to our friends and neighbors, not contributing whatever small amount we can give or whatever larger amount we can give, working the polls, any of these things to compensate for the failure of the so-called Democratic leadership to fight, of our Attorney General who goes up there whimpering, "You're not going to make me bend." Well, you've already done that. We're just going to escort you out the door. And this is the thanks he gets for leaving the special counsel in place to prosecute the son of the president. But we could go over that. I've mentioned that before. So what am I saying? What I'm saying to those of you who share my view, tell these politicians to get off their ass and fight. Tell them not to be an echo chamber telling us how bad something is or giggling. Call it what it is. An attack on democracy. And don't say Trump doesn't understand. He understands perfectly. His playbook is Hitler. His preference is autocracy and dictatorship. He hopes that this is the last election because he's against democracy. And if we don't understand that, we've already lost. And he believes that. Trump does. And so he can do whatever he wants and will do it. And he'll do it with such energy because he's going to stay out of jail and he's going to pardon as many people as he can if he wins. And he's going to go to the grave destroying this country. So, people can say, I'm wrong. How many data points do you need? 2 impeachments, a decision in the court by the Attorney General and a judge requiring him to pay over funds for bad practices, a woman he defamed and abused, 34 counts he's now been convicted of, and I'm the one who's not on the money. Ignore these people and say, oh, just be okay, just be assured. Those people, maybe they mean it, but they're betraying our nation. They're betraying the fight that's necessary between now and November. So, I say to you, be of strong resolve and goodwill and enjoy the beautiful day, but fight like hell against this creature of evil. And that's what I got to say from the Cathedral of Trees. And I hope to be out tomorrow, and I'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.